The Gallipoli campaign was a big idea by Winston Churchill, effectively, that by the autumn of 1914 the Western Front had kind of sunk into trench warfare, there was no movement. And Churchill hit on this idea that if they could come in behind the Germans, as it were, come in from the east, there would be a chance to weaken the Germans would be fighting on two fronts. So he hit upon this idea of a naval campaign against Turkey, which he considered the weak power in the war, which would allow a quick ascent of troops into Constantinople, and then they would be able to stretch the Germans from, as it were, the other side. The idea was rushed, it was ill-conceived, so the navy that was sent down to the Dardanelles in the spring of 1914 were old battle cruisers, they weren't fit for purpose, and they didn't do what they were supposed to do, which was take out the Turkish defences. On the Gallipoli Peninsula, the Turks were well dug in. They had heavy guns, they were being assisted by the Germans, so it was a very strong defence. So with the failure of the naval campaign in March, the next big idea was, okay, to take Gallipoli, to be able to get through Turkey, we need to land a lot of troops onto the Gallipoli Peninsula as quickly as possible. But clearly moving troops around in 1915 isn't a quick job. So it takes a month from the end of the naval campaign until they can actually land troops in April 1915. The problem with that is the Turks have obviously dug in further, they've increased the number of troops they have on the peninsula, and they've increased their defences. So the whole landings on April 25th, 1915 are nothing short of a disaster. Rather than making their first objectives, which were about a mile inland, the troops barely managed to get off the beaches, and the death toll on some of the beaches is as high as 70%. So it's a catastrophic start to the campaign. And it's a campaign that doesn't really get much better. Again, it becomes very much like the Western Front very quickly. There's deadlock. The Turks are dug in, the Allies are dug in. There's occasional offences by both sides, which lead to small exchanges of territory, but nothing major. There's another big push by the Allies, particularly the Australian landings in August 1915. Again, there's small headway made, but nothing major. So really, the whole thing is stalemate that just cost through death from war injuries, but also death from disease. It's a deeply problematic place where typhoid and dysentery are rampant. The death toll is enormous. By the end of the campaign, probably some 130,000 people have died, including 3,000 Irishmen who went out to fight in the war.